they were tied together or whether.
Oh, I think it was just that
separate times or
the
anything.
name was just too long to fit the parcel behind it.
For the town,
Yeah.
your town, and did you meet with your town?
Oh,
Yeah.
slightly different.
What's your name's on there?
I printed it on yesterday. Oh, that's why they're.
You didn't get the
It's
revision.
not the. Okay.
So you can.
Well, I thought it was already
Yeah, you can
final,
run
but
that.
it doesn't matter. I was just curious.
Yeah.
I thought I got the final one.
How are you? Good, you? Good? Well, I mean, not great, I'm here. Well, that's true. That's true. Look, we actually don't like to be here either, so.
You gotta be careful about that.
It's really not that fun, but.
Yeah, I wouldn't think this was the highlight of the year's deal.
No, it's not. It's kind of terrifying, but.
Nice thing is we're in Yankton County, not in California or somewhere, it's a little bit friendlier as a whole.
It is. I don't know what
You have a few, but it's not all.
In Pennington County, where there's 600 different of them.
Yeah, in Pennington or maybe Hahara, because I thought just a ton. Some of those counties have like 7 days of this.
But one of my friends is up and does construction building, he's dealing with somebody that's up in Minnesota. He had 3 different days, he had to go at 4 different times.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was.
A lot of his is like, he has the lots that done.
Yeah.
And by one lot, they changed their value, what's up in, not in all time, to 100 back.
Oh my gosh.
They think there's a house there or
Where'd you get
something. Oh,
from?
no, I got
Something
it.
that will.
And sometimes with some of those.
Oh, you got it.
But,
Yep.
I don't think
And I
that's
just got some
sometimes
suggestions there.
on my end a lot, because like when it changes from ag, so when I give the estimate, it's like, well, right now it's just ag, which is solar.
I thought it was-
I would say something.
Yeah.
But, classification, basically, kind of like this.
That is so disgusting.
My
I
mom
do
was
that
saying,
a lot. Gross.
I would rather.
Yup.
I didn't do any of that.
Yeah, so it does.
I think that's good, but
Nothing but great.
that puree diet is disgusting.
Right.
The non-ag, and then it goes like.
Well, that was his thing, like, in there,
That sounds good.
But that's, you know, as a regular art,
If I were
that's
national.
well, he showed me
We
a
will
lot
be calling
of
them.
there.
Calling it.
He realistic.
Right, that's one of ours, our home-based ones, that were Clifford's was out by the airport.
Sure.
You know, his land that he's,
Never seen
building
Clifford
out of,
this year?
He's looking. That's what I was.
Yeah,
So my
yeah.
sister, what is that? You know,
Pretty fun, but nothing
yeah,
to know
later
about.
on Thursday, and so then-
I think it's more
But,
locked
oh,
out, yeah.
that changes the non-ag.
And all.
Right.
1 year out.
No, we'll use that phone. The first one we'll have to call.
Okey doke.
Let me see.
Lee? Okay. I'll let Patty do it.
I could read my own writing. so.
Whistle at everybody in there.
Whistle at him?
Yeah.
Don't forget to turn your microphone.
Two are agreed.
Michelle, don't forget to turn your microphone on.
I know,
We're starting already?
Yep.
these two. We agreed. I don't know if you wanna move them in the agenda or however you choose to. Apply that.
So we could just slide them down here, right?
No board decisions up here.
Yeah.
If you want to. Yeah. Not to our, well, to New Valley.
Good new value.
Dave went wrong.
Now where'd
so-
Patty go?
so I guess that was, they were higher than all the other light commercial, light manufacturing.
You wanna make that motion to move forward, move them up? Okay, we're ready to start the County Board of Equalization meeting. I'd like to remind everyone to turn their phones either off or at least mute the ringers. And please stand and then join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to thank you all for coming, and we'll speed through this as much as we can, but we'll all also make sure that everyone has time to speak. Roll call, Patty.
Wanda,
Here,
Dan. Here. John,
Here.
Ryan,
Here.
Don.
Here.
Now is the time for financial conflict of interest from any board members.
I have none.
I have none.
I have none.
I will, excuse me, I will abstain from the Neil LaCroix appeal in as much as I've recently done work for them.
Okay, thank you.
Now I would move to approve the agenda.
Second.
I want to, we need to move, item 17 and 18 down to the,
To where?
to the approved, or what?
To 20?
17, 18, and 19, or 18
Seven-
and 19?
17 and 18. Applied and Hastings needs to be, they have an agreement, so.
So that, we're
Those-
moving that to 20.
To the Board of Direction
Yeah.
decisions,
To
yes.
20.
To the, after the board decisions, yep.
Got it.
Then I modify my motion
Okay.
to
Have a
approve the
motion,
agenda with those changes.
have a motion to approve the agenda with changes,
Second.
and by Wanda, second by Dan. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now's the time for public comment. Public comment is a time for persons to address this body on any subject. No action may be taken on a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an item upon which action will be taken. Each person has up to 3 minutes to speak. There shall be no personal attacks against the members of this body, county staff, individual, or organizations. The chair has the authority to enforce this policy. Failure to adhere to these rules may result in forfeiture of the remaining speaking time. Are there any public comments? Yes, ma'am. Step up to the microphone.
And you'll get an opportunity to speak on your own property, okay.
Yep. My name's Allison Larson, and I'm from Gayville. And I just received my time slot yesterday, so I think these need to show up a little bit earlier so we can actually plan for them. So I didn't know what time we were meeting today. Also, the property that you have listed under number 20, Jason Hansen, parcel 31-100.013.070. I have actually owned since January 22nd, but he nor I got any information, so I was not able to dispute anything on that property. It was a higher amount. I found out it was a clerical error, so I think that's what you guys are gonna discuss in the later part. I still think that one's kinda high, but just wanted to state that I have owned that one since January 22nd.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comments? Seeing none, I'll close public comments at this time. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Chris Subbeck. I'm just here. I filled out a paperwork to dispute it. My name's not on the list, though. But I'm just.
It was on the list this morning.
Oh, it was. Oh, okay. Well, I must have missed it or got confused. It's okay.
It was on the list at 10:35 a.m.
Okay. Well,
Sorry.
I got it.
Anyone else? Public comment? Now I'm seeing none. Public comment is closed. We'll move on to item number 5. I guess we got 5 minutes yet.
They're approximate.
Is he,
Pardon?
is he
They are
here?
approximate times.
Is Dwayne Lee here?
This is the one we're calling.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're gonna call him.
Maybe just let her know the 4 minute, 2 minute.
Hi, is this Teresa or Tamara?
It is.
Hi, Tamara. This is John Markward from the Yankton County Commission, and we are in our Board of Equalization. And you're on speakerphone. And it is your 4 minutes to speak your appeal.
Okay. Are you saying I have 4 minutes right now, or are you saying
Yes.
in 4 minutes?
You have 4 minutes right now to speak your appeal.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so obviously this is with regard to the latest assessment that was sent out. And I don't know what all you have in front of you for data, but last year, my valuation increased by $60,000. And I did not object at that time because honestly, I didn't feel like it would make a difference. And I felt like, well, they'll just increase it again the next year. So I was hoping, well, I'll just let it go and hopefully it won't increase again for a while since it went up so much in that 1 year. Now this year, it increased again by $45,600. And the only thing that I have done to the house, or we have done to the house, is we did paint it this last year, but I wouldn't say that increased the value at all. Certainly not by the amount the assessment went up by, and also just because it needed to be painted. So I don't even know that it really increased the value. Comparatively, looking at the houses around me, I live in an area where there's 3 of us houses, and we're right next to a convenience store, C-store, the Flatlanders, there on Highway 50. And my house and my neighbors to the north, ours has increased a lot in value. Mine has gone up $130,000 in the last 3 years, and my neighbors to the north have gone up $140,000, which that's up to them whether they're going to challenge it or not. The point I want to make is that the other house, the third house out there, which is just across the street from me basically, to the east of me there, theirs has only gone up $21,000 over the last same time period. So mine has increased 130 and theirs has increased 21. My neighbors to the north of us, of our 3 houses, theirs is valued the highest amount which if these three went on the market right now, theirs would probably bring the less amount, because myself and my other neighbor, we have acreages and we have sheds on our acreages. So I just want to point that out in terms of my argument here, that I just don't think the valuation is occurring accurately or fairly. The neighbors to the east of me, like I said, theirs has only gone up 21,000 in the same time period. Mine has gone up 130,000. And so they're paying, or let me say it this way, I'm paying about $3,000 more a year in taxes than what my neighbors right across the street from me are. And if you look at other houses in the neighborhood, there's one, it's probably about 100 yards to the north of us. Theirs has increased only like $75,000 in that same stretch of time. The C-store itself, which I understand it's not a residence, but still for purposes of taxation, their valuation has not increased at all. It has stayed the same over the last, well, I can see back to 2019, and it has stayed the same. I've got some neighbors that are about a half a mile to the south of us, and theirs has only increased $67,000 over this same 3-year time period. They have recently done some construction and remodeling. So it's just not a fair assessment that is happening in terms of comparison. And I'm not by any way trying to raise anybody else's taxes. I'm not trying to say my neighbor's taxes need to go up comparatively. I have no vendetta against anybody. I'm just saying that the system with this taxation right now is not being done fairly. And my house should not have gone up that much in that short a time.
Okay, Tamara, time is up. Do you want to close, or are you done?
Actually, I just finished. So
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Tamara from the board? Hearing none. Equalization, you have 4 minutes.
Alrighty, so considering the Lee's property, which is 31089 451 Avenue, which is just south of Gayville, in between there and Highway 50. And this home was built in 2001, and it has a total square footage of 2,287 square foot. And deducting the land and the outbuildings that are all there, we're left with a structure value of $307,400. And with that, oh, I'm sorry, that was the local board value that they dropped it down to. So with the structure value of our assessment, we have $353,000 divided by their total square footage, which is 2,287. We come up with $154.35 price per square foot. And then for a comparable sale with them, which is 800 East 39th Street, and that is going to be just north of the airport here in town. That was built 8 years newer than the comparable sale, the Lee's property, and that was sold in October of 22 for $850,000. And with the 2,066 square feet, which is 221 square feet smaller than the subject, that comes to a total of $381.46 price per square foot. And then for our second comparable sale, we have 30127 Southwest Jim River Road, which is, as I'm sure you know, north of town, just along the Jim River. And this was built in 2006, which is, again, newer than the previous, but also 418 square foot smaller than the subject. And this one was sold in April of 2022 for $670,000. And with the square footage of 1,869, that comes to a total of $329.43 price per square foot. And nextly, this is the house that Miss Lee was speaking of. That is the lot directly to the north of them. And now this isn't a sale, but this is just to compare very similar properties that are very, very near to each other, that was built the same exact year. It is 465 square feet smaller than the Lee's home. And we have this structure value at $378,500. And price per square foot being 1,822 square feet comes to a total of $207.73 price per square foot. Ready? Michelle, take it.
So I just, Miss Lee commented about some property, and I know we have another appellant wanting to discuss this too. The property directly to the east of hers is a different class of property. These are small acreages, so small acreages out in the county is what we are using. The property just to the east qualifies for ag. Now, ag houses have not changed value because if you look at ag sales, it is very hard to determine what portion of that sale is attributed to the house versus the land. Every situation, every sale, you would have a million different answers on which is who bought it for what and what value was towards the house and what value was towards the land. The reason state law has what you can qualify, what you need to have to qualify for ag. So that's the reason that the house to the east is different. It is class different, it's assessed different, it is taxed different. Different mill levies, different, they're similar in the fact that they're by each other, but they're very, very different.
Thank you. Any other questions for equalization?
The only question I have is, we have two comparable sales and then a comparable assessment. I guess I haven't seen you do a comparable assessment. I know it's a house right next to it and that makes sense, but usually there's at least 3 sales of, I just wondered why this one was different in that regard.
There's not 100 million sales out there, so we found
Sure.
comparable sales to show what we have, and we knew Miss Lee, she had discussed it with us about the house to the north, so we wanted to show that we are being fair and equitable.
Sure.
And you'll see that throughout
Yeah.
this afternoon.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, we'll move on to the Rye Revocable Living Trust.
Does she want to?
I'm sorry.
Does she want to go and then Patty, don't you mail the last sheet out?
Tamara, do you want to continue listening or are you done?
I don't stay on.
Okay, well, thank you for your time and thank you for visiting with us.
Thank you.
Bye. The Rye Revocable Living Trust, or,
I have a letter from him.
okay,
And this is pulled from his appeal form where he wrote down for a reason, and then he also wrote a small handwritten letter as well. And just for ease of reading, I kind of put them together. So this was what they stated. I'll go 10% more, not 28.24% that you put down. I haven't sold my place. Why should I pay more taxes? Because somebody sold theirs and moved. I think you better look at what the county spends. I think it's unfair to tax the parcels under so many acres. Heard other places got lowered taxes and land, sales up to 9,000 plus. I didn't get a raise from the government the first of the year.
Can I look at that?
Yes.
Is this okay if I pass this around?
Yep, I've got copies of it if you need it. Alrighty. Am I okay to go?
Anybody want to see this?
So, with the Rye Revocable Trust here, this is 29331 441st Avenue, and it's just north of town, east of Highway 81. This home was built in 1925. It is 1,508 square foot, and with the land and the outbuildings deducted from the assessed value, we're left with a structure value of $133,900. And with the square footage, that comes out to a total of $88.79. And this is a 1940s older one-story building. And for the first comparable we have is 30203 450th Avenue, which is just north of Vollen. This was built in 1910, so it is 15 years older than our subject, and it is 212 square feet bigger, coming in at 1,296 square feet total. And this was sold in June of 2022 for $202,776. And the price per square foot on that comes to $142.88 per square foot. And for our next comparable, which is 3715 Penina, which again is just north of the airport area there. And this home was built in 1902, and it was sold in October of 2022 for $222,000. It is 23 years older than our subject and 563 square feet bigger, coming in at 2,071 square foot, which leaves us with a total of $92.61 price per square foot. And here I do have a third comparable sale, which is 29219 445th Avenue, which is north almost all the way up to the county border near Mayfield. And this home is 35 years older than the subject, 452 square foot smaller, being 1,056 square feet. And this was sold in, I can't see that far. March of 23 for $312,500. And that came in at price per square foot, $228.61. Then to conclude, we have the subject in the top left, and then sales 1 on the far right, and 2 in the bottom left, and 3 up top. That's the one by Mayfield there. And again, with these being the small acreages, as Michelle explained, they are spread out quite wide across the county, unlike the ones in town where they're stuck within the neighborhood, the immediate neighborhood. And so the local board had initially stated to bring this to $69.56 square foot. We have it assessed for $88.79 price per square foot. And so the first comparable at $142.88 is $54.09 more than the subject price per square foot. Sale 2 is a much smaller margin of only $3.82 more, but still nonetheless more. And it is also the one that was 15 years older. And then sale 3, we have $228.61 price per square foot, which is $139.82 more than the subject.
Any questions for equalization?
Question, was that Wellstown Township Board for the local board?
I'm sorry, Dan, what was your question?
Which township was it? I think that's Wellstown. Isn't it?
Mayfield.
Mayfield. Okay. That's not, okay. It's not Wellstown? I thought Mayfield was the next one over.
Is it Volstown, south of 46?
I think that, I mean, it doesn't matter which board it
Yeah.
was, I was just, as a curious, so, all right. And that's the local review board? Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay. We are about 8 minutes ahead of schedule. Is it just keep flying, or do we have to wait?
If they're here.
You're
yeah.
here? Okay. Sounds good. Kevin Hauger.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, we're gonna catch up anyway.
Right. I guess like everybody else in here to complain about my taxes. My main complaint is we did an addition to our house about 2 years ago, so they were actually out at our place and assessed it a year ago. Understand the assessment, we added some square footage, it makes sense.
Who is they?
Michelle was actually the one out there.
Okay.
So made complete sense. You know, we added on, makes sense. So a lot of these people are complaining about taxes because they haven't been looked at. They're just going up for no reason. Mine went up for a reason. I did an addition. I get it. Then it went up again this year. Well, if I was just looked at last year, how can it already be wrong? You know, in 1 year, I'd have a tough time believing that the values in the houses out there change that much in 1 year. And I understand that ag is done completely different than acreage, which I understand that. But if you look at the ag properties that are around me, they have no farming on them. I get they meet the criteria because they're circumventing to meet it. But they're new houses, just like my house. They've had the same values for 5 to 6 years, and they're all valued half of what mine are, with the same square footage. I kind of agree with what some other people are saying, is everybody's not paying their fair share. You know, if you want to raise ours, I get it, but it should be the whole county, not picking and choosing who
Yeah.
is getting raised.
The
Yeah.
ag assessment actually went down this year, correct?
Yeah, and I printed out a couple of, not to throw neighbors under the bus, but I printed out Gerald Hinsess and Jared Brockmiller's houses. They're newer than mine. Jared's literally, he took 20 acres of farm ground and planted grass to make his be ag, to have 20 acres. I have cattle next to my house. They're not my cattle, but they're next to my house. You know, mine is more ag than theirs is. You know, that's where, I guess where my long story short, where my complaint comes is I was looked at, assessed a year ago, and then it already went up again.
I can feel your pain. Mine went up last year, mine went up again this year, and I didn't do anything, so I understand.
Right, and that's where my complaint is coming. I went up 150,000 or so last year, and then to go up another 50,000 this year, they basically have doubled my property in 2 years. You know, and I get going up even 15, 20%, but to go up 100, that's, it's pricing you out of being able to live in your home.
Yep.
You know, and that's where this is headed. So, but that was all I had.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions for me? Thank you.
Nope, thanks.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. So, this is the house in question. You can see his addition added on there, bottom side of the picture. Once again, we only do structures. Kevin had quite a few outbuildings. But once you take all of that off, take the land, outbuildings off, and then divide it by his square footage, which is sizable, 2,692, you end up with $167.90 per square foot. My first comparable here. Sold for $477,000 in May of 2023. Price per square foot, $245.15. Same one you guys saw earlier, the Southwest Jim River Road property. April 2022 for $670,000. Gives you a price per square foot of $329.43. And this third comparable sale, 800 East 39th Street, sale price $850,000 in October of 22. Per square foot, that's $381.46. So you can see a summary. We've got subject property, and then all my comparables down to the west. And as far as, I don't want to feel like I'm picking on you, Kevin, because, I mean, for your case it works, but most of the time we know it's like, we're gonna go get this guy. It's more like a random number, thing like that, but, I know it doesn't matter to you, but I just thought I'd point that out. So, as you can see, subject property, 167, and the other ones are a bit higher. But I do think you make some good points about land classification and all that. Oh, do you believe you could sell your house for what we have it valued at? Okay.
I believe I could afford to value that land.
Okay.
100% agree with that.
Okay.
And that's what I asked the board to put it to. I didn't ask to reduce, I asked to put it back to what it was when they were physically out and looked at.
Okay. And one more thing I want to point out is every one of these properties that I showed you in comparison are quite a bit undersized compared to Kevin's house. He's got a lot more square footage in the structures. That's it. You got any questions for me?
And would you agree that what's driving these increases are people moving to the area and buying houses?
Yeah,
It's the market.
Yeah, it is. I can't speak to like, you're saying somebody coming in from maybe out of state
Well,
or.
I don't know where they're coming in from, but
Yeah. Either way, it doesn't matter. The market's been going up ever since 2020. And the fact of the matter is that the interest rates aren't really scaring anybody off. It seems that people are willing to pay 6 times their wage to get into a house. And I just don't see it sustainable. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's the way it is.
I know I might turn it over, but at some point, it shouldn't matter what somebody's willing to pay for. I mean, there has to be a limit to it. You were able to build it and afford to build it and afford to live in it, but because somebody else is willing to put themselves in a bad position, you're gonna lose your home.
Right, well, we don't disagree that necessarily with you, but we have to do what state law says, and that's, and that's
That's why
the
we're
other
here
thing
arguing
that,
for it.
exactly,
Yeah.
that's why we're here. We have to do what state law says, you guys can do what you
Yeah.
please. So, we have to be at market value, and that's what the sales, the houses are selling for more than what we have in the set, so that's why the changes.
Yep, and she's exactly right, you know, that reach out to your state legislators because they had an opportunity to do something with property tax and instead they went from 4.5 cents to 4.2% sales tax. And I haven't talked to a person yet that's making a big difference, but property tax is really getting hit hard because of that. So I encourage you to reach out to your representatives. That's
Pete?
over $104 million a year that when somebody goes and they hang out at the lake or come in from Iowa or Nebraska, they're saving that money. Meanwhile, your property taxes are skyrocketing, so, that was a big missed opportunity, I think, by our state legislators to help out the actual citizens of South Dakota, and it didn't happen, so.
Oh, there.
I really don't have a lot to say, because he's pretty much said everything that
are you Mr. Vandriel?
Yes, I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
You gotta come up here to say that, sorry.
Ooh, I look at your briefcase.
People out in the country and in the city want to see what you look like.
Yeah. I look a lot better now than I used to, I'll
I'd
tell
agree
you
with
that
you.
much.
I agree with you, Pete.
You know, from 2.5 years ago, boy. And that's part of my problem my taxes are going up. I just had a double lung transplant. You know, it's hard enough to make it work. You know, and the taxes are going up. I haven't improved anything. And, you know, they can say what they want about the sales. I don't think I could get that out of there. There's no way. You know, and I've taken out trees now, and they've taken out outbuildings. All that's left is the house and one shed. That's it. And I just want it to go back, like Kevin said, back to last year, what it was. You know, I'll accept that, but it can't go up anymore. It just can't.
Okay, Mr. Van Driel's home. Price per square foot, $62.50. Overall assessed value, $131. I think is a bit of a steal for an acreage.
How many acres?
4.8. All right, my first comparable is 8 years newer, built in 1900. Sale price in 2023, $158,000. Price per square foot is $112.97. And this one here, what I say, it is 18 years newer. Something like that. Let's call it 20. Sale price $202,776. Sold in June of 22. Price per square foot $142.88. Let's see if I can go the right way here. Oh, yeah. And then this one here is another one of those comparable assessments. Just to kind of get a feel for the area, this is Turkey Valley Township. Let me see here real quick. So yeah, this one is just east of the appellant's property. So you got land and structure add up to $187,700. Price per square foot, $145. And I believe that one is almost the exact same size, 1,587 versus 1,569 square feet. And there's my typo, AV3. That should be assessed value 1. Anyway, subject property, 6251. The first sale is almost twice that. Second sale is more than twice that. And then the assessment to the east is a good bit more too. And anybody have any questions?
Are they all acreages of comparable acreage size?
Well, what did I say? The appellant's 4.8.
We removed the land
Yeah.
value out of the sale price.
Yeah.
Yes, but just for the sake of it, since I pulled it out, they're all about 4 acres, except for the assessed value or the assessment comparison is 5. So yeah, they're all in the ballpark.
Any other questions for equalization? Michael Nutley?
Yep.
Well, I'm an acreage owner, and I'm in the same boat everybody else is. Turkey Valley Township, actually, all 3 of us are neighbors here, but my issue has been, since 2019, my value has increased almost 50% since 2019. It's just going up and up. For example, and I'm gonna do, well, my house in 2023 was valued at 134.2, and now it's at 150. And it's just, every year it's going up. And I went in last year and asked if somebody could explain it to me, and I was told it was too complicated to explain, which I think it probably would be, but it wasn't a very appealing answer to me at the moment, so. Anyway, I'm in the same boat as Kevin and everybody. It's just, it's going up and up and up, and these sales nearby, well, we could go on the ag land thing, as you were talking about. The land sales near me are just insane. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
The ag land is insane, what it's doing right now, and I'm seeing property values, ag property values dropping, yet our acreages are keep going up and creeping up and up. So, I'm not gonna gripe about what I have to pay for taxes, but I am gonna gripe about how is this coming about. I do not understand the formula, and I don't think we should just be hit, the acreage owners should just be hit like we are. So, that's what I've got to say. Thank you. Any questions?
No, just encourage you, get a hold of the representatives, they're the ones who make the laws we have to follow by, and, well, and now you're saving 20 cents when you go buy $100 worth of groceries, and
Yeah.
the reflection is sky-high property taxes.
I do want to add one thing, I forgot. So I have a neighbor that his is an ag valued acreage, but his house is maybe 20 years old, mine's over 100. And his house value is almost $30,000 less than mine. And he's got a walkout basement. I don't even have a basement. I've got a rock foundation and a cellar. That's why I'm just kinda, I don't get it. So, all right, now I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
So Mr. Nutley has a house that was constructed in 1900, but it's classed as a 1950s 1.5 story because it has been updated through the years. As you can see, structure value 150 and a half. Per square foot, that turns into $62.79. All of these buildings you'll see are within 30 years either side of the appellant and are within about 500 square feet of his structure. So, sale one sold for $200,000 in January of 2023. Price per square foot is $73.46. Sale two, 1875, sale price, $183,000 in December of 2021. And that is price per square foot, $94.72. We've got this property on Jim River Road, sold in November of 2021. Sale price for $295,000, price per square foot, $164.61. These sales are a bit older because we have a smaller pool to pull from, but it's all the same. $295,000 in 2021 is a lot more today. So, for comparison, there are your sales and your subject and their locations. Anybody have any questions?
This was, was there a local review board for this one?
Yes,
Okay,
I'm
what
sorry,
was there?
I've neglected to mention that on
No,
every single one of these.
I think there's and I always like to know what the local
Yeah,
review
no,
board did.
absolutely. If you want to revisit the other ones too, I apologize.
Appreciate that.
So we had it at 150,500. The local board dropped it to 134,200. And on the top of my head, I probably cannot do that to tell you price per square foot.
Sure. No, it's just interesting to see what, I know on some of these it has the local review
Yeah,
board, and in others it does not.
Would
so.
you like to see the other appeal forms
Yeah,
for?
maybe when we're done, if you could have those and then
Pass
just say,
around,
this
yeah.
is what, I'd really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's
so
no problem at all.
thank
I
you.
apologize for
Thank you
forgetting
for
that.
doing
Any other questions?
I can make a statement. I'm on Turkey Valley Township.
Mhm.
One with Pete, and I was not at our equalization meeting because I got a conflict of interest. You know, because I'm asking
Sure.
for mine, but I do know that they were all dropped to 2023 evaluation is what the board asked for.
Yeah, yeah, it seemed that way.
And we took all the values back from local board. So there was one value that was lowered in Gayville Volland that we did not take back because it was a bare lot, unimproved. But all the local board bit changes we took back, just so you know, because we have sales to support the values, just to be fair and equal on our part. So, but that's why we're here, is to let them decide.
Okay, Michael K. Peterson.
So I do not have a letter from Mr. Peterson, but on his appeal form, he states the reason for appealing is the structure value rose $13,800 in 1 year, and the house value is too high. He believes that his land value should stay the same at $6,000, and his building value should be $93,000. So his property is Sunnyside Avenue in Gayville, and the original assessment we have is the $6,000 land value, the structure value of $103,300. Removing that land value, because it can change year from year, and every property has different sizes. Our square footage is 1,378 square feet, so the price per square foot we have is $74.96 per square foot. The local board voted with Mr. Peterson to do the structure value drop down to 93,000, bringing the total at $99,000 for the assessed value and $67.49 per square foot. He is a 1970s one-story, and all of those increased 15%. Oh, all right. Hey, Mr. Peterson? Yes. It is your turn.
It is your turn to come to the mic.
Just slid right in.
I was wondering.
I guess I really don't know what you want me to say, but I just think almost $14,000 increase in value in 1 year is a little more than what it should be. And just figuring on top of my head, if the mill levy stays the same, which I know it never does, but if it does stay the same, it's going to increase my taxes by $200. And it's a 40-year-old house. I got water in the basement. I guess I don't think it's worth what it's valued at. I don't know. I mean, I guess if you got questions, I don't know what else to say. I've never gone through this process before.
What do you think the value should be on that?
Well, I figure, a $3,000, $4,000, or $5,000 increase in 1 year would be, I think what I did with the local board was 99,000 instead of 109,000. Yeah. So, and that would be, well, where it would.
Do you feel you could sell that house for that? Would you be scared to put it on the market for that price?
Yeah, I think I would.
Yeah.
I mean, at 99,000, that's a $3,500 increase in 1 year. I just think almost 15% is a little too much to jump it in 1 year.
So there, our department valued at 109,300.
Right.
You wanna, would you be scared to put a for sale sign at 109 on it?
I don't think I could get that.
You don't think you could?
I mean, I don't know, and I told the local board, I said, if everybody's went up that much, I don't really have a problem with it. And they didn't really say anything, if they had or not, but that, I mean, I guess that's about all I got to say. It was at 89 something, then went to 95 something, and now it jumped, like I said, almost $14,000, so. If it had gone up another 4 or 5, I probably wouldn't be here.
Okay, any other questions from the board? There you go. Thank you.
That's it? Okay, thank you, that was pretty painless.
It was painless because of that shirt.
Yeah.
Go State.
I don't know, that cap might be it.
You don't have to call me Mr.
All right, so I'll just go back over it real quick. So the local board did drop it to 93,000, bringing it the total assessed value at 99,000. His is a 1977 home, and it's classified as a 1970s one-story, which did increase 15% in Gayville, because that is their neighborhood as a smaller town. The first comparable sale is 202 Merchant Street. It was built in 1976 with different things that they've done to the house. It brings it to a 1980s one-story, and those went up 12%. The house is sold for $215,000 of July 14th, 2023. It is 1,056 square feet, which is 322 square feet less than Mr. Peterson's. And it sold for $195.74 per square foot. The second sale is 610 Meckling Street, which was built in 1979. It sold September 14th, 2023 for $190,000. It is 1,092 square feet, which is 286 square feet less. It is also classified as a 1980s one-story due to different things they've done to it, which increase, the 1980s one-stories increased 12% in that neighborhood. And that brought the value per square foot to $164.38 per square foot. The third sale is on 302 Iverson Street. It was built in 1900, so an older home, but it increased 12% in that neighborhood with 492 square feet less. It sold in May of 2022 for 134,900 square feet, dollars for $144.81 per square foot. In summary, the subject current that we have it at is $74.96 per square foot. The local board voted to bring it down to $67.49 per square foot, and then the applicable sales. The subject is in the bottom by the star, and then the sales are within the neighborhood of Gayville. Any questions?
You're saying on average, homes in that community, 12 to 15% increases based on what you're seeing for similar size homes?
Yes, so for the house type of the 1970s, they all increased 15%. The 1980s all increased 12%.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Any other questions? All right.
Mr. Chair, we're getting quite a bit ahead.
Yeah.
Do you want to take a couple minute break or?
Sounds like a plan to me.
Okay.
Need a motion for a break?
5-minute break? Make a
Second.
motion.
Motion by Dan, second to Wanda, take a 5 to 10 minute break. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Thanks a lot. It's always nice to see you.
I know.
Over that guy.
I know. I was going to think about that before we started on that.
Because if somebody's supposed to be here at 1:20 and they show up at 1:05 and we're done. So if you get here, you should do something about that sales tax. It's like bullshit.
I plan on it.
Because all the
Probably
people
my-
that come to town,
I know. That's probably one of my biggest issues, but I'll guarantee you in most of the forums, we won't talk about that.
sure not. I pay them $109,000 for one house, and they
You
turn
hardly-
around and I'd sell for $200.
I know.
Just saying. I write him a check. Right now.
Sounds like a plan. You're gonna ruin the hop industry, though.
We'll have the beer.
And then they won't have any beer. Let's see.
He's either in the field or he's doing chores. I saw him Easter, but I guess I'll make whatever change. I have 2 more days. Tuesday and Wednesday. Then the engineering, so, basically all the rural development for the bead farming, they do a lot of the designing. That's, they're hired me to do that. You know, they want to, should be part of it. Should be a bit.
Sox picture last night.
Wow. Must not have been much action going on.
That's like the first time since like that.
Oh, that there's been under 2 hour game.
Somebody did that.
Jeez, that's
crazy.
yeah. That, I mean, that's just about half as long as a baseball game. Wow.
Yeah.
It's one of those games you go to as a fan.
Yeah.
I just watched you guys play catch for an hour and a half.
Can't even get 2 drinks down.
Yeah, that's right.
By the time I got there,
Not even worth going there,
it
yeah.
seemed like nothing. I mean, going.
Short amount of time, they for expensive popping up.
He can if he needs to.
Food or fiber.
What are you trying to do with it?
I wanted to turn it so you could see it. So you can see the Native American guy?
Oh,
Is it glued?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, shit.
Just heavy.
Our next is 1:30.
There you go.
Next is 1:30. What's it? We still got 7 minutes.
Oh, you got that one? Anybody wanna review these or the local review board notes? I don't know if they did them. Yeah. It's telling these guys they need to go talk to their state legislators about property tax reductions. Anybody wanna see the local review board's findings? I have it here. I'm not sure exactly how much they are. Yeah. Maybe take this with you, and I know if you go online and you pay 3 years now, that you're covered, but I know they said that the dues are going up by quite a bit, like $5 or $10 a year, so you could save quite a bit if you do 3 years. So if you wanna just take this and then bring it back to me. Okay. And then I'll get that turned in. Well, you could get, well, that'll motivate you to get your money's worth. I tell you, you're in a lot better shape than you were a couple years ago.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Well, you probably could notice it, but I
Just we had one of my army buddy's wife died this last week.
oh, no, that's tough.
My brother's in tough shape in Minneapolis.
I had to miss a call. One of my army buddies, my guy I went through ranger school with, just called me. I gotta catch up with him. And, him and I were in Delonga, Georgia together, going through the mountain phase. And it was in April, and it just started to snow, and it's way up on the mountains doing patrol. And it got so bad they couldn't get, trucks or anything to get us out, and so we marched like literally all night long to keep from freezing to death. And then it became morning, we just got a spot and got to the truck where they had one like real thin sleeping bag. And him and I just threw all our equipment in a pile, and we got together and we like zipped both of us in there. And I remember waking up like face to face, and I see him sleeping in the morning, and he tried to eat an MRE quick because he's so hungry. He's just like his food. And he woke up and he grabbed the food, ate it, and he was like, man, I don't think you and I could fit in that sleeping bag now, but he's that was just terrible. Just wake up and you just covered in snow. Everything was snowy and icy. It was probably the most miserable night I ever had. But you went through it with somebody else. I wouldn't have wanted to do that by myself. Well, it was crazy. Finally, we're coming in from this landing, of course, and I finished, and then I got put on some detail, so I had to go do something else.
Is this all this?
And I come back.
Oh, this is all of them.
And
Did you look at all of them or just the first one?
I looked at all 3.
Okay.
Son of a gun, I'm like 20 feet away, well, whatever. So I'm getting in my sleeping bag, and these guys drag this big log in there, and they throw it in the barrel, and it's sticking up 10 feet there. And so they go to sleep, and I wake up later, and I see it's burning all the way out there, and this big fire crash has landed on these guys, and they're all jumping up on fire, and I look at it and I was like, oh, that sucks, went back to bed. You're just so tired, you just look at that and, oh, glad it's not me. Go back to bed. You guys are so tired up some old roads. And
Oh, yeah.
you'd get like a few minutes to just warm up. The guys that, you know, haven't slept in days, guys would fall asleep and the fingers of the gloves would all burn off. They'd sit too close to the fire and, you know, you have that metal injection tool and the plastic pouch that would melt off. And it was just, there's so many of those funny stories. And then the next day you see these guys, their fingers are burned off of their gloves. Kind of funny.
I tell you what. When I was in the service, they used to talk about how tough the Koreans were, special forces. I don't know, I think our boys can match up to any of them.
Yeah, I think, you know, it depends on the units you're with, yeah, but, you know, Marines versus Rangers, you know, you got everybody who wants to be there, and then motivated to be there, and they want to be the best they can be. We can talk about, very rarely have disciplinary problems, very rarely have DUIs, for instance. You know, those guys, they wanted to be there, just look for an excuse, any excuse, you know.
I had a feel like, it's like some blue route maneuvers in Germany, and it was cold, so snowing, and wet snow, it wasn't terrible cold. And you ever see those chaparral missiles?
I've heard of them, but
They had four missiles on them.
they're all in the museum.
Okay, I think we're close enough to 1:30. We'll call the meeting back to order. Allison Brown? Need a motion to
Come back in
resume?
regular session.
Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Ryan to go back into regular session. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Allison Brown,
Yes.
your 4 minutes have started.
Okay, so my taxes went up $67,000 in the last 2 years, which is over 44%. I also think you need to take into account when you're looking at that, the lot size. When you're getting square footage, you're only looking at the house. My house is the same as a lot of the comparables that they'll talk about, but I have a much smaller yard. I have 0.16 acres, so I have a lot less space that I can use. I am also right next to Valley Ag that has trucks driving by constantly. It was not there when I moved in. And I'm right across the street from the railroad tracks. The house is down the street and another one that's on the other side of the road. Get to look at beautiful evergreens, and they have a grassy lot across from their house that they get to use as their own. I have some pictures here. People use it as their own. I don't. I have the railroad tracks and gravel. I also have the Yankton clay lateral ditch that runs right in front of my house, which is not good. My front yard is sinking. The Yankton clay lateral ditch has no insurance. So I could just be without, and I have to cover it. It also, water comes in from the north side. So at that picture on the very bottom left-hand corner, there's a drain right there. They've tried to fix it, the city has. Doesn't work. Anytime it rains, I have a 3-foot wide puddle that goes all the way across my front yard. I can't plant grass in there. It goes around to the drain. I have pictures here if you guys would like to see them.
Thank you.
So this is at the edge of my yard. This is some of my front yard. You can't really tell, but there's the dip right in the middle. That's the drain. And then these other pictures I have are like what my view is compared to what a lot of the comparables are. And like I said, I have trucks driving by my house all the time, and I think you have to take that into account. A question you've been asking people is, if I put it on the market for what they assess, could I sell it? I don't think so. The price I asked to be lowered, I think it would sell at that. But houses in Gayville are going for so much right now because we don't have any houses for sale, and we don't have the infrastructure to build more. Somebody wants to build 60 houses in town, and we can't because we have less than 24 hours worth of water in our water tower. twice in the last month, we've had sewer issues where we can't use our sewer system. So if people knew what was actually going on, would it sell for that? I don't think so. And anything I do, I did put stone on the front of my house, but I think it's like putting lipstick on a pig. I live across from the railroad tracks. I live next to Valley Egg. I'm making it nice for me to look in, but I don't think somebody else is gonna say, oh, I wanna live next to the railroad tracks. I wanna live next to Valley Egg, and the things I'm doing aren't gonna increase the value. I get to ask.
That was shorter than 4 minutes.
Railroad's been there though for,
The railroad has been there, yes. Valley Egg, no.
That's a new Valley Egg in addition, don't they have one on the east, far east side too?
Yep, they have one
Okay.
outside of town too.
4 minutes.
Any other questions? Hearing on equalization?
All right, so Miss Brown's property is 300 Merchant Street in Gayville. Again, that's the neighborhood because they are a small town, so that's where all the comparables will be coming from. Our original assessment with the land value at $4,200, the structure value at $213,800, brings us to $218,000. Our square footage is 1,288 square feet. She was built in 1980, and it's classified as a 1980s one-story. The 1980s in that one-story in that neighborhood all went up 12%. The local board value she proposed, and they agreed with, was the land value staying the same at $4,200, with the structure dropping to $182,500, bringing the total assessed value to $186,700. So the price per square foot is $141.69 per square foot. Our first comparable is 202 Merchant Street. It was built in 1976. It is, because of updates they've done, it is classified as a 1980s one-story, so compare similar style to hers. It also increased 12%. They sold theirs in July 2023 for $215,000, bringing the square footage to price per square foot $195.74. Their square footage was only 1,056 square feet, so 232 square feet less. Comparable two is 610 Meckling Street. It was built in 1979. Due to updates, it is also classified as a 1980s one-story. They sold September 14th of 2023 for $190,000. Their square footage is 1,092 square feet, so 196 square feet less than a subject, bringing their price per square foot at $164.38. And then the third comparable is 508 McCook Street. It was built in 1978, also with updates, brought it to a 1980s one-story. Same percentage, went up 12%. It does have the same square footage as the subject, and they, this is not a recent sale, but it is a comparable subject with square footage and style of house, and it brought it to $162.89 per square foot. So the subject is the star. The first comparable is just down the street, across from the railroad as well. The second is up the street over 2 blocks, and that one sold for $164.38 per square foot. And then the third comparable is just north of the subjects, next to the plant and pretty much across the railroad, with a house being next to them. Our subject, we have it valued at $165.99, and the local board voted $141.69.
Are you guys aren't at the local review board
We're not at
meetings,
the local
correct? Okay,
boards.
that's,
No, but we do touch base with them, so
Okay.
appeals, are due to the town clerk or board by a Thursday, and that Friday or the Monday before their board, I touch base with every single one.
Okay.
Know what they're doing, say what happened
Okay.
in the neighborhood, what their house did, what other houses did, any questions. Give
Okay.
them as much data that we possibly can.
got it.
Any other questions?
Thank you. Wallace Brown.
Hi, I'm Wallace Brown. Just bought our house in November of 21. And I was originally from Yankton, South Dakota, moved away 35 years ago, convinced my wife to move back here because of low taxes and everything and stuff, so she came back here and now she's wondering where the low taxes are. We don't have a problem with paying the taxes or anything, but we just want to make sure that everything's fair and stuff out in our neighborhood. We just recently, when we moved up here, they formed a road committee or road district, whatever. And that jumped our taxes $2,600 a year on that. And with the new valuation, it'll jump another $700 just for the road district on that. And I didn't do comparables of what just recently sold. I do have one that just recently sold, but all of the rest of them were that I compared in the neighborhood of people I know. And this was from the Beacon website. 207 Violet Drive, right across the street from me. He has a 1,700 square foot finished house, same size lot, 3-car garage, detached garage, just like me. His house is valuated at $365,000. 411 Tulip Lane, you know them people over there. Their house is a 1,756 square foot house. He also has a detached garage, and the county's evaluating him at $343,000. 403 Lilac Lane, 2 houses down from me. His house is bigger than mine. It's 2,500 square foot, 4-bedroom, 3-bath, same size lot, same size detached garage, and his valuation is exactly the same as mine, $420,000. Mine went up $95,000 this year, and with the road tax or whatever, everything's about $6,000 now on my taxes, and it's gonna go up more with the road taxes after that. And now it's getting to the point where it's almost to what we paid down in Omaha, Nebraska. So I just wanna, I don't have a problem paying the taxes because the county provides the services and everything I need, but I just wanna make sure everything's fair. And people right in my neighborhood, right across the road, are paying less and valued less.
Sir, what would you like to see, like, what do you think your property should be valued at?
Well, I think
you
it
have a
should be
number?
valued a little less than that. And,
Do you have a number, like what, you know?
oh, I would have been happy. I probably wouldn't have been here if it wouldn't have been for the road district or anything, because that really increased my
Yeah.
taxes and everything.
And that's totally separate from
Yeah.
us as the people
And
in that
that's-
area.
that has
got-
nothing to do
yeah.
with you guys, because I
Yeah.
understand that.
Sure.
Our road district committee, right after we moved in there, my wife moved up here in 2022 when she retired, and I retired in February last year and moved up here permanent. But the road district, in 2022, they told everyone that it's only gonna go up a few $100 on everyone's property. Well, $2,600 when we got our thing last year, and
Yeah, no,
Exactly, where is this? Where is it?
Riverside Acres.
Riverside Acres?
yeah, south of Stingers.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, the road district that was voted on by the people in that area, right?
White-
And that's-
White
that's-
Crane.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what you'll see on our taxes is, you know, you gotta write the check to the county, but 60% of it goes to the school board, and then a big chunk goes to the road district, and it goes to all these small districts, and then it ends up the county is just a small 27%. I mean, so you write that check and you think it's all going to the county, but in fact, the vast majority of it is going to other organizations, just so you're aware of, I've had to find that out the hard way too, so.
Here's on our Beacon website, there is the tax distribution.
Yep.
If you've
Great.
seen it, okay,
Yep,
that's
I
what.
did.
Yep.
So did you have a value in mind then? Because right now.
Well, I'd say 390, 400 or whatever, but 420, because neighbor right across the street or whatever, he's in 363, and he's got the same thing as I do.
Is that in your road district too? In your
Yep.
road district too? Okay.
These are all in my housing development area. And they're valued less, and they got the same size house, except, 1, 2 down, he's got a bigger house than me, and his is valued at the same prices that you guys valued mine at.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Equalization?
All right, so Mr. Brown's house was built in 2021. It is classified as a 2010s one-story, and those all went up around 35%. His land value is $41,000. His structure value is $379,100, so it's assessed at $420,100. His square footage is 1,834 square feet. We took out the detached garage, and that brought it to $194.27 per square foot. He does not have basement finish. The first comparable is 3710 Christie Lane. It was built in 2013. It was sold April 4th, 2022 for $476,500. The square footage is 1,894 square feet. It is actually 60 square feet more. And so the price per square foot is $234.95. It also does not have basement finish. Comparable 2 is 307 Tulip Lane. It was built in 2020. It was sold April 24th, 2023 for $449,000. Its square footage was 1,792 square feet, so 42 square feet less. It sold, its price per square foot is $228.79. And then sale 3 in the area is 302 Lilac Lane. It was built in 2022. It sold September 12th, 2023 for $577,000. It is 1,755 square feet less, not less, 1,755 square feet, which is 79 square feet less than the subject, and that price per square foot is $306.55 per square foot. So the subject is the star, and then comparable 1 is in the same neighborhood just off to the east. Sale 2 is a street over, and sale 3 is just up the street from the subject. Any questions?
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
The house that she listed at 307 Tulip Lane, per the Beacon website, they're only valuing that one at $390,000.
The sale.
So just because the property sold for $449,000, one sale doesn't make a market, we have to look at all the sales. So, yes, it sold for more than it's assessed, and that could have been one of the sales without looking at specifically, well, it was, if you have it. It was one of the sales to figure out what our market is doing. It is higher than what we are assessing, so that's the reason the whole neighborhood went up.
And that one increased its percentage from 2023 to 2024 of 34%.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
Mr. Brown indicated that the house right across the street from him was assessed at less than his? Is that, am I saying that right, Mr. Brown?
one pulled up.
So 207 Violet? Okay, is assessed at 365,700. 4 minutes is up. It was built in 2013.
So
and it
it's
has-
older.
Yes, it's older. And it has, no basement finish,
Which he does not either.
which he doesn't either, okay. Do you have?
So I think his question is, why is his basically $30,000 more?
We'd have to look side by side at the different amenities. Does he have more bathrooms? Does he have garage finish and this one doesn't? Does he have, a bigger garage, a bigger detached garage, bigger? And we have it, yeah, so it's similar, but it's different. It's older is the biggest thing I see right off the bat, but without going side by side.
What was,
And there's smaller square
what was
footage.
what was the percentage increase on its assessment?
On the,
20
that neighbor one?
On that, yeah, on that.
The
neighbor one.
neighbors was 28.8%,
And how much was the increase on this one?
28.9%.
Okay. So it increased as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Every single property, regardless of it being a house or just bare land, they all increased a certain percentage.
Any more questions? James Schindler. 150.
Okay, it doesn't appear that he is here, so. Okay. Okay, so on Mr. Schindler's appeal form, he's had a recent sale of 114 Richard Street for $236,000. Is the exact same square footage or very similar construction. So he was just wanting his value lowered a little bit, it looks like. So we will start out with his on 119 Cottonwood Street, built in 1968. We had the land at the 25,000, structure, 226,700 for 251.7. There was 1,248 square feet, so that's $181.65 a square foot. All right, my first comparable is at 100 K Street, which is kind of down in that same neighborhood. That was built in 1963. That sold in August of 2023 for $340,000. That house is 936 square feet, which is $334.94 a square foot. The next comparable is at 119 Tamarack Avenue, which is just over in off of Timberland, I think. Had to think about which street it was, but it's still classified as the same neighborhood. That one was built in 1977. That sold in March of 2023 for $285,000. That one is 1,056 square feet for $250.19. Oh boy, let's see. The next comparable sale is at 3102 West 11th Street, which is kind of up above. And that one was built in 1967, and it sold in July of 23 for $300,000. That one is 1,144 square feet. So that's $235.93 a square foot. And then I was gonna touch on the one that he mentioned in his appeal. And so that's back over in that same neighborhood on 114 Richard Street, and that was built in 1976, and that sold in September of '23 also for $236,000. That one has 1,200 square feet. So let me go back to his. He had 1,248 square feet. And so this one is a little bit smaller, but it sold, was $178.92 a square foot. So yes, that one did sell a little bit less per square foot, $2.73 less. But that's back to, you know, where we look at different things at the houses. And so it's a little bit smaller square footage, and it's, the basement area is smaller, the basement area finished is smaller. It has 3 less fixtures, that sort of thing. But I did just want to touch on that since he had mentioned that one in his appeal. And so then in summary, the subject was $181.65 a square foot, and that is the starred one at the bottom. Sale 1 was $334. Sale 2 is $250.19. Sale 3 was $235.92. And then the one I did highlight number 4 in a little bit different color, just to show that that was the one that he wanted to bring to the attention. Again, like I said, was a little less, but it has different things to it, and that's why. But it was still right, you know, $2 and some cents is still right in there with that value.
And why was that one less again? Could you, I guess
The one that he,
number
the
4,
one,
yeah, why
Yep.
was that one, if you could just,
Why was that one what?
just
why was that one,
the sale,
less for a square foot?
yeah, the
than
sale
the
per
other
square
ones?
foot was a little
Yeah.
bit less than the subject, because that's the one that the appellant had, you know, mentioned.
Okay.
So it's a little bit smaller overall square footage.
Smaller, okay,
The basement area is smaller. The basement area is, or the basement finished area is quite a bit smaller. It has less fixtures to it by one less bathroom.
Okay.
The attached
That makes
garage is smaller, so it's, but that's why.
Okay.
But it was still right in there close.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Any other questions?
Oh, good job. Nice job.
Okay, thank you.
Cheryl Johnson.
Mr. Shin, he never showed up, did he? I don't see him.
No.
Okay.
Because I'm next to.
You don't get a break, you got them back to back.
I know, 4 in a
Yeah.
row. I think we'll just sign it off. I'm just gonna read what was on her. And she has a great big house, so I had a great big stack of information for that one.
You might take up 8 minutes, you're saying?
I might, possibly, we might need that for this. Because it's, you know,
better
it's a,
stick to 4, probably.
what's that?
I don't know, we should probably stick to 4 like everybody else.
She's gonna speak,
Well,
You're
I'm
gonna
gonna
speak
speak,
for
I'm gonna
Cheryl.
speak for Cheryl first, and then I'll do my part, so.
Got it, understood.
I'm just not quite, I just need 1 second to find,
She's not attending today, I think.
she is not attending today. So she, we were in contact several times, with Cheryl, and she couldn't make it today. So on her appeal form, she has written higher assessments than other comparable properties, and higher assessment than the open market.
you're gonna read some of the letter, part of it?
What did we decide?
I think we
I
decided
thought
to
we
read
were
part
reading
of
the
it.
whole thing.
I think all of the commissioners have read the whole thing.
Is this
And
one hers?
Yeah.
My
We had kinda
understanding
thought-
is she doesn't want her entire letter read into the record.
Yeah.
Well, that isn't what we decided.
Michelle, didn't we talk about reading the bottom share of it?
Whatever you would like.
We talked about reading this part of it.
Okay.
Just from the equalization
Yeah.
All right.
Just so the public knows, the previous part of this letter is for, the board only, for privacy reasons.
Okay, equalization. Each property owner should expect a true and fair assessment. Ours is definitely neither. Please adjust to what it should be. If equalization thinks ours is $194.08 a square foot, then our neighbors with the nicer houses should be assessed that as well. The neighbor's assessment looks correct, not ours. Thank you. My unlisted phone number is, and I'm not going to say that.
Correct.
I do not want that on the county records. I prefer mail to phone. I do not use that. I have an old-fashioned flip phone. Cheryl Johnson. P.S. I'm born and bred and a resident of the county for 2.5 years. Yankton City uses way too much salt on their roads. My suggestion, snow blade the roads better and lay off on so much salt. It destroys the roads and vehicles. With a smiley face. So, Cheryl Johnson has a very unique property out at the lake. It's very large at, let's see, it's built in 2004 and has 3,648 square feet. The land value is $115,000. The structure we have at $708,000 for $823,000. Again, with that 3,648 square feet, that's $194.08 a square foot. At 300 Calumet.
Have you been in that property?
It has been several years since the last time. I don't remember when the last time we were in the whole property was. She had requested that we come out this year because she had taken a bathroom out. And when we got there, that's all the further she would, like the bathroom would be like right there. And that's all the further she would let us in the house. We had asked if, you know, she wanted us to do some looking in the basement to make sure we had correct information, and said she was not feeling well that day, but did not want us in the house at all any further than that. When she came to appeal and question it, at that time we said, well, you know, if something's wrong or if we need to look at it, and she completely refused to let us back or to let us in the house. Again, I didn't read the phone number because this is the first time we've seen it. At that point, she refused to give us her phone number even so that we could contact her with questions or information of that such.
So you did question her more than once? If you
Yes,
could come
about
to-
getting in the house. More than
and
once
look
when
in
she
the
came to the
house.
counter, because she came a couple of different times.
She said absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Yep, like I said, she wouldn't even give us her phone number.
So we're using information on our records, it may or may not be correct. From what we last had, this is the information we had for the assessment.
Oh, other than we did, because she mentioned in the letter about taking the bathroom out. Well, we did take the bathroom out, but when we were there, there's still the pipe sticking out of the wall, the plumbing, the rough-in, we call it a rough-in. And so we have to leave the rough-in, in which there is a different quality for that, or price the way it's done is less, so it still lowered it, but there still is a rough-in there, so we have to leave that. Okay, so the first comparable is at 108 Calumet, which is right up there in, the same street as her. A much smaller house. Like I said, hers is very unique because it's very large. That one is built in 2000, sold for $640,000 in July of 23. So at the 1503 square foot, that's $331.27 a square foot. Up on Marina Park, so that's just up off of Kaiser Road. For reference, if we all know where Kaiser Road's at. Built in 2013, that sold for $684,000, $684,900. In May of 22, at 2,480 square feet, that's $263.35 a square foot. And so the 202 Calumet, now that's a twin home. It's just right up there, kind of next to where her house is at, and she had actually asked us to look at some of those too. So we have the 202 Calumet, built in 1997. That sold for $625,000 in June of 23. That one is 2,144 square feet. So that's $237.87 a square foot. And then there's one on 112 Scenic Drive, and that one was built in 2008. That sold for $620,000 in December of 22. The price per, or sorry, that's 2,340 square foot for $243.59 a square foot. And then I did some looking because when she was talking about the, other houses. So for a comparable assessment at 30955 435th Avenue, that one was built in 2010. That one has 3,449 square foot, so that's more similar in size to hers, which is $252.13 a square foot. And then I have another one that's a comparable assessment. Again, trying to find some of the larger houses. That one was built in 1992, is 3,116 square feet for $231.57 a square foot. So, in summary for the Calumet, we have the sale one, or sorry, hers was $194.08. Sale one was $331.27 a square foot. Sale two is $263.35. Sale three, $237.87. And the comparables, $252 and $231. And then she also had mentioned something on the market. So I don't have a slide for this, but I had done a little bit of research on that. Just looking at what's listed and what's, and I found several that are way up there above what she is asking. If I can find my little market file. And there's a house actually that sold on Highway 314 that just sold for over what they were asking. One on Ridgeway Drive, and this one's pending, but it would be at $280.19 a square foot. And these are not sales, they're not sold yet. It's just what currently are being asked. So
Well,
there's
if it's
one at,
the one that's pending, it just hasn't closed yet, correct?
right, it's just listed as pending currently. Doesn't mean something could fall through that doesn't sell for that. I was just looking for what things are. There's one at Deerfield Drive. This one also shows it's pending for $789,000. That one would be $297 a square foot. There's one that's listed on, let's see, West 11th Street for $637. That one would be $284 a square foot. And there's one that was just listed this week. That one is at, let's see, 321 Lewis and Clark Trail. And that is listed right now for $737.300 a square foot, or sorry, dollars. That would be $262 a square foot. Anyway, so that's just kind of it's just high. So, any questions?
No, I'd just like to say you did a very nice job. I really appreciate all the work that you put into that with all the sales and then the comparisons. Very, very well done. So thank you.
Well, thank you. That one that we thought about this one a lot. We looked at it a lot. Sure.
It really helps us to make a decision when you put in all this work and it shows. So thank you.
Would you go back to your first screen?
You bet. Okay, so this one is hers. Yeah, did you want hers again too?
Yeah, I just want to look at that.
Did she say anywhere what she thinks it should be, like as a number wise? 'Cause
I do have that, let me,
I think it sounded like she wanted it to be like her neighbors or something like that, or?
which that's where it's, you know, hers, like I said, hers is a very difficult one, it's
Yeah.
unique, it's, do I have? Huh? No, I was trying to find,
No, yeah, it says what, to adjust it to what it
Kinda
should
looks to
be.
me like with the comparables,
What did you say, Don?
looking at the comparables and assessed value of hers, we may be a little low.
you know,
Because of
that's where
square
it's-
footage?
Well, you saw it.
Because of
And-
square footage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the hard, you know, with, like with her house, when it's such a big house and already has a large amount, then that percent raise, you know, is like, ouch, when it hits, because, you know, the amount raised is higher, obviously, off of a larger dollar amount, even though it's the same percent, if that makes sense. I'm trying to find. What? Yes, thank you. She wanted it to be, 689,483, so the land to stay at the 115, and then the, structure to be 574,483. Which that actually is,
Did you have that with square foot by chance?
yeah. So that would be lower than last year's value even, to go to that amount.
Take one too.
Any more questions?
No.
Any more questions, Dan? Thank you very much.
Did you bring me one of those too?
Yeah, I will.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Anybody else?
I have a couple swallows left, but you don't mind.
Anybody out there need water? No?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good one.
So I know the commission, as we talked about this a couple times, but just for the public, we had to raise 42% of Yankton County values. This for 2024 assessment. 2023 assessment, we had to raise 59%. So 59% went up last year, 52% went up this year, all due to market. When assessed values go up, levies go down, which we did see this year in your tax bills. They went down $1 to $2 to $3, depending on your taxing district. So assessed values go up due to market, due to state law, levies go down, because budgets can only increase a certain percentage. So if your assessment went up 23%, your taxes will not go up 23%.
Okay, Daryl Haas?
Before we go decisions, I'd like to go to that, on one of these, do the property breakdown under Beacon to just show these guys and the public where their property taxes are going, because I think that's just so important for people to understand. But we can do it toward the end.
I don't believe Mr. Haas is here.
Okay.
You got another one, Andrea?
I do.
Jeez, there.
That's, I said a 4 in a
Yeah,
row.
yeah.
Chunk them together.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one, these are in Vollen, is Daryl Haas at 207 Windsor Street. And Mr. Haas has to say. The home needs a lot of interior work, has plaster walls, lots of cracks, original windows, needs a lot of updates. I am over 65 years old to freeze taxes. SDCL Chapter 10, 6A. And let's see, he says he thinks it should be $95,000, 1,700 land, 93.3 for the building.
They would not qualify for elderly tax freeze.
In case we were wondering.
In case you were wondering.
No, that's, I appreciate you telling us that.
Okay, so Daryl has his house is at 207 Windsor Street, was built in 1919. So we have the original assessment at 1,700 the land. The structure we had at 138.2 for 139.9. They have 2,380 square feet, which is $58.07 a square foot. The local board, when they did it, left the land at the 1,700, took the structure value to 93.3 for the $95,000. So that would have been $39.20 a square foot going to the local board. Comparable sale number 1 is at 200 Grant Avenue, built in 1900. That sold in March of 2023 for $150,000. They have 1,900 square feet for $74.89 a square foot. Then we have another sale at 306 Main Street. That one was built in 1950. It sold in June of 22 for $120,000. They have 1,960 square feet, which is $60 a square foot. So again, the subject was $58.07 a square foot. The first sale was just about $75, and then the other one was $60.
Probably pretty hard to get comparables in Volin.
It's a little harder, but
They're all
they,
two-story though, so.
they're, yeah, because we were trying to look for just the two-story since
Yeah.
his was a two-story and
The interiors of the, I don't know if you've been in those two houses, are they remodeled? Did those two sales, do they need work?
it's,
Are
you know,
they-
I don't know that for sure. I kind of think that first sale maybe has been remodeled some, but I'm not positive. But I think the last time that we did small towns, so we would have been in them all, was in the summer of 2016. Any other questions?
Not at this time.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Gonna have to slow down a little bit here.
We're getting too far ahead.
Michelle, can you share any more information with us while we're waiting?
What would you like to know, Mr. Marquardt?
Could you pull up Beacon and do a property tax breakdown, just so everybody can kind of see that on, that's a really cool feature.
The tax distribution?
Yes, yeah, I think that's so important for people just to see that, and realize when they write, you know, they come into Yankton County and they write the check to our treasurer, but that's not where it ends up, and then poor Patty has to redistribute that out to everybody else, and yeah.
So of his almost $1,800, 57% goes to the school district, 21% goes to Volin City, 19% goes to the county.
Yep. So, yeah, the
And
end,
then it
yep, at
breaks
the end
it
of
down.
the end of the day, the city, and that's just true in, probably even truer in the city of Yankton with the opt-outs they have, is the majority of it, the municipality gets more of the sales tax. than the county, and then they also have the additional revenue of sales tax on top of that as well.
You meant property tax.
Well, they have property tax and sales tax, yes, correct.
You
thank
said
you.
they get the majority of the sales tax.
Well, they get more than us. You know, if you do the school and city, that's 75% more than that. It's just, I think important people realize that.
I have a question, if I may. What is the debit service on there?
That's for the safety center.
The jail.
Which is
Gonna be paid off?
gonna be coming
Yeah.
off soon.
Yep,
Yeah.
in 25.
And we don't like debt, but what was that, how much was that when they started? Do you remember?
To 8 million?
8 million, and it's 140,
I just am not-
140 bed jail roughly. Clay County and Vermillion, 44 bed jail, $44 million. And so it is a huge asset that the leaders at that time built that jail when they did, because I couldn't imagine having to build a facility like that nowadays. And it'll be a good thing when it's paid off.
This is Mr. Brown's property tax distribution, just so, which you've said you've looked at. Most of his his
Wow.
taxes are going towards his road district. So when you form, correct me if I'm wrong, Patty, when you form a road district, a portion of the county's
Secondary road
taxes,
tax.
secondary road district,
Yep,
is eliminated and then moved to,
yep, yep.
The road
Before he was
district.
paying on the
Yeah.
road-
and they
on that
establish their
secondary
own
road.
entity, they establish their own budget.
Yeah. We actually lose money in a road district because secondary road tax goes to maintain, you know, like Deer Boulevard to get to your house. And when that district is formed, then we lose that and it goes to the road. So road districts actually hurt the county. So,
It's usually, road districts aren't usually that much that they're paying, but, you know, it depends upon the board, what they decide to do with that money.
you should,
And for the first 2 years, they can get whatever they want. And then it goes by CPI and growth.
And if I remember correctly, when they first were talking about this road district, they did tell you it wasn't gonna be a certain amount. And then they got estimates to what it would actually cost to do what they wanted to do. And that's what I believe,
Why
I can't
it's so
speak for that road
high.
district, but that's what I thought that is why it is.
any of you guys want to see your breakdowns?
And all this is
No, yeah, I
available,
don't
on
blame
Beacon.
you.
Anybody
I
can look
don't
at it
blame
without
you.
a subscription or anything.
Yeah. If you haven't been or don't know, Beacon is amazing. Just type in Beacon and then South Dakota, Yankton County. You can type your parcel or look at the map. And it's a great thing, you can prepare.
Yeah.
And I just found out about that, this.
Yeah.
Today?
Just right before you did it, I heard you say that, and I was like, I've never seen that.
Well, this tab is new. It's what the board approved this past year, so, and it,
When the update came through, we're just putting the city and state tax with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to see that if we could do a breakdown like that when we mail out the tax forms. I think it would be worth that to, so people just realize that it is very helpful, I like that a whole lot.
They do on your license plates.
we want it on the tax
Well,
form, is what
I
you're saying?
I don't know what it would
Like when you get
cost.
their
I think
tax
it'd be
bill.
helpful
When
on
they
when
get
you
their
send
Well,
it.
like,
It is-
there's
it
a
is on-
breakdown
it
on the
is on-
bottom,
There already is a breakdown.
not a
Yeah,
pie chart.
but not that visual representation is
Oh, with the
shocking when you see that.
Because it does have the levy printed on there, I believe.
It has, yeah, it's the dollar amount that goes.
I kind of thought Mr. Johnson might be coming, but I don't know. Couldn't tell you for sure.
Okay, 2:20? Okay. Well, we're gonna move on.
Taking a break.
Dennis Johnson Revocable Trust.
I should have done this part. Thank you, everybody, for being patient with us.
Thanks for taking the time to explain that.
Anytime, always.
All right, yeah, and I kind of expected that he would have been here today too, but. So, we will start with his,
Ms. Johnson.
okay. So he says, the 2022 assessment was 41,100. The 2023 assessment, $520,000. I think it says that it was 25.6%, must be more. I'm trying to read his writing, sorry. 2024 assessment was 61,500, up 18%. 2 years assessment up 50%. When you skin an animal, you shouldn't take the meat with the hide, is what he says. So.
Say that again?
He's not wrong.
When you skin an animal, you shouldn't take the meat with the hide. I'm just reading what he wrote. And sorry, I was struggling a little bit with the penmanship, so my apologies for that. He thinks it should be 1,900 for the structure, 50,100 for the land, or sorry, for the structure, which would make it back to last year's value. So we have it at backtrack just a second. We're looking at 106 Grant Avenue, built in 1900. Our original assessment of the land was $1,900. The structure is $59,600 for $61,500. He has 1,173 square feet, which is $49.44 a square foot. So the local took it left the land at the 1900, took the structure value back to the 50,100 for 52,000, which would be $41.35 a square foot. Comparable sale number 1 was at 204 Windsor Street. That one was built in 1910. It's sold in November of 2022 for $90,000. That one is 1,056 square feet for $57.25 a square foot. Comparable sale 2 was 201 Garfield Avenue, which was built in 1910. That sold in July of 22 for $195,000. That one is 1,428 square feet for $131.72 a square foot. Looking at some comparable assessments that are in town, 306 Windsor Street, that was built in 1898. In 2024, we have it assessed for $100,800, 1,709 square feet for $55.41 a square foot. One of the comparable assessments that Mr. Johnson had mentioned to us or talked about was at 105 Grant Avenue. That one was built in 1910. That was assessed at 53,100 a square foot. It's 810 square feet. So $49.14 a square foot. So I'll just go to my summary just because I have those on there. So the subject was $49.44. That comparable is $49, so it's 31 cents less a square foot. Again, right in there, but it's, and I don't have all my notes on, nope, I do have them. Hold on one second. So it's, you know, a little smaller square foot. It's got less fixtures. Again, there's those, you know, all those other components that go into the houses that, but it was still right close to his. Yes, it's a little bit less, but 30 cents is not a lot. Any other questions?
I have not heard from Mr. LaCroix at all after
Okay.
we sent out this intent to raise.
We can go ahead then and do Mr. LaCroix.
Sure. So this property, it was a bare ag land or value, and we missed adding the partial structure value for what you see. So we are recommending or asking to add 28,900 for structure value for the shell of a building that was there November 1st. And we gave him notification that this is what we would be doing this year. We will be following back up with this because it's an open building permit with interior finish and whatnot that makes sure that it's a complete structure so that they're equally assessed.
So we're just assessing what was there effective November.
Correct.
Or prior to November 1st or on November 1st?
No, well, November 1st is our legal assessment date. We cannot physically view all the hundreds of building permits on November 1st, so we try to get it
Yep.
as close to, but this was there. And that structure value is a shell.
So just a partial
Yep.
assessment, got it.
Okay.
Go to board decisions.
Yes, we'll move on now to board decisions. Actually, don't, yes.
Just, before we start with board decisions, just kind of like to say how tough of a job that it is. We have to follow state law and the rules, and we don't really like it that much either. Again, I would encourage people to reach out to our state representatives that set the rules that we have to follow. And the county's got poor relief, jail, sheriff department, ambulance. Don brings up every month that we have between $40,000 and $50,000 that we have to spend on juvenile detention, and it all has to come out of your guys' tax dollars, and we don't like it any more than you do.
Well said.
Well, and I would agree, and I think we all agree that, we don't want to see anybody taxed out of their homes, but until we get some property tax relief, this is what we have, and I said it before, I'll say it again. We went from 4.5% to 4.2% sales tax, and the legislator all slapped themselves on the back and said what a great job they did, but none of that went to property tax relief. Over $104 million each year that drop in sales tax would have generated. It could have gone to property tax relief. It did not. Yeah, what is it, 3% or CPI, whichever is less, and so.
Yeah, and then growth too, but I don't
And
think.
growth, yeah.
1.1%.
It's
Yeah.
not very good this year.
Yeah.
Talked about that 2 years ago when I was a kid.
What's that? And, we've brought up a few things. We get, 1.2, 1.3 million visitors a year to the lake area. Guess what we generate when somebody buys beer or gas or anything? $0 on sales tax. We still got to fix the roads, the bridges, send out the sheriff, send out the ambulance, put them in our jail when they misbehave, fire, and we collect $0 from that, so. From the sales tax. It all goes, every penny goes to the state.
Okay, moving on to the board decisions. Number 5. Dwayne Lee.
Just so we get the language right, or I get the language right, we have to move to accept the Director of Equalization number or modify it, correct? Patty says yes.
Yes.
Okay. Then I would move to accept the Director of Equalization valuation on number 5.
Second.
I have a motion by Wanda, second by Don, to accept our assessor's valuation. Any further discussion by the board? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The Rye Revocable Living Trust.
I move we accept the proposal by our committee.
I got a motion by Don. That motion is to accept our assessor's evaluation.
Yes.
Second.
Second by Wanda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Excuse me, Kevin Hauger. Need a motion?
Well, I'll make a motion to accept our appraiser's valuation.
Got a motion by Don.
I'm gonna second it.
Second by Ryan. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, same sign.
I guess I'd vote no on that one, but.
Motion carries.
The local board moved it back to 2023 values, is that correct? Okay. What? 441 was Mr. Hauger's total?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just for the structure.
Your motion was to approve our assessors, is that correct, Don?
Yes.
Did we remove all this?
Dan said no. Peter Van Driel.
I'll move to accept our voters, our assessor's evaluation.
I have a motion to accept our assessor's evaluation. You have a second? Second by Ryan. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Did we hear everybody?
Pardon me?
Motion carries. Michael Nutley. Need a motion?
I will move to accept our assessor's evaluation.
I have a motion by Don to accept the assessor's evaluation.
Second.
Second by Wanda. Further discussion?
Yeah, on this one, I can really see his point on it, but I think our hands are pretty much tied on what we have to do with this, but I totally get where you're coming from. It just doesn't seem fair.
Well, I can see their point
Yeah.
on all of them, but
Yeah.
almost every
I-
tax assessment is falls in the same category.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Is this, it's been continuous every year, is this gonna be the same thing in 2025 and
We hope.
Tell us
we hope
what the
not.
market on houses and property will do. If we,
For sale, I mean, I don't know.
no, the rest in the county and the state in general, that's what's gonna drive it.
If the market goes down, so will your value, it's reactive.
If it stabilizes and calms down, things on the assessment would calm down as well.
I think
Frankly-
mine went up 200 or 300,000 this year. I hope that it doesn't do that.
Yeah.
We're not, I know I'm not the Lone Ranger, none of us are the Lone Ranger, we're all seeing the same thing.
Yeah.
None of us are none of us up here are excited about this. But we don't have a choice.
Well,
We're not either, because like, I just bought my house a couple years ago, and the first year I bought it in November, and that market went up $23,000.
No.
Went up another 28,000.
I said that loud.
That's okay.
But that's hopefully, you know, the assessment's going up, values go down, so let's hope this market figures itself out really, really soon.
Yep.
We want it to.
Yeah.
I just wish they would look at the ag loans.
We got a rate.
To a point, you only can grow your budget so much, so it's not.
Yeah.
And you have to take into consideration, everyone's is going up, and if everyone's is going up, then the taxes really are gonna stay more stable. That's what we really need, is that, and that's the job of their equalization.
When our federal government deficit spends at the rate that they're spending, there's nothing in the world gonna happen, but your taxes are gonna go up. Or they default.
I do have a motion and a second to accept our assessor's valuation. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Michael Peterson.
I move to accept the assessor's valuation.
Second.
I have a motion by Wanda, second by Ryan, to accept our assessor's evaluation. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Allison Brown. Looking for a motion?
I move that we accept the assessor's number.
I have a motion by Ryan to accept our assessor's evaluation. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Don. Further discussion?
you know, for further discussion, I just say on this one, if there's water leaks or things like that and on the property that's affecting it, you know, maybe go in and talk to him, take some photos of it or something like that. But again, I think our hands are tied on this one.
I've done that numerous times over the last 25 years.
Okay.
And nothing's changed. Except my insurance rate goes up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Wallace Brown.
I'll move to accept our appraiser's evaluations.
I have a motion by Don to approve, to accept our appraisal's evaluation. Get a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ryan. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. James Schindler.
I'd move to accept the assessor's valuation.
Got a motion by Wanda to accept the assessor's evaluation. And here a second.
I'll second.
Second by Ryan. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Cheryl Johnson.
I'll move to accept our assessor's valuation.
Second.
A motion by Don, second by Wanda to approve our assessor's evaluation. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Carol Haas.
I will move to accept our appraiser's evaluation.
Got a motion by Don to accept our appraiser's evaluation.
Second.
Second by Dan. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Dennis Johnson, revocable trust.
I'd move to accept the assessor's valuation.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Wanda, seconded by Ryan, to approve our assessor's evaluation. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Neil LaCroix,
I move we approve our assessor's evaluation.
Second.
motion by Ryan, second by Dan, to approve the assessor's evaluation. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I abstain.
Motion carries with one abstention.
We take a 10-minute break before we get into the
Need
next.
a motion to take a 10-minute break?
Second.
Minute.
Aye.
Don't we just
Oh.
have, we don't have the reading of the last four?
We have all the freezes and abatements.
Yeah.
I need to walk.
Oh, my bad.
That was Wanda, Dan
Wanda
and,
and Dan.
Dan and Wanda.
How do I get Beacon on my phone?
What is the internet?
Just internet browser.
Well, if I go there, I don't get anything.
Do you have an Apple or Android?
Android?
You can't get the app, you have to use it through your web browser.
Oh, I can't just go, that's probably why I just go upstairs.
Apparently I'm the only one that doesn't have it in our office, so I have the app.
Oh,
Which I'll ask about that, why is it that way?
yeah, but that doesn't make, that's not fair.
I agree.
It's a good request for them, though, make an Android app.
It is,
Because it's
yeah.
60% of users. So, yeah, it's Android.
It's because the rest of us are tired of paying for an eye. Mine went up 150,000 in the last 2 years. On my house. Makes me look good on paper. Other than that, not so much.
Where the hell? Where else did you go? I don't know. You do motions, everything before it. I have to wait 20 seconds. Nobody's gonna make a motion.
Well,
I gotta do it. I do it to all of them.
not all of them. I did it to 3.
They'll target me.
I did it to 3.
Waiting for you and Dad to say something.
Well, he doesn't want to say anything because he's all this constituent bullshit. I understand their pain because every single one of my properties went up. Every one of them. Even the one that those fuckers tried to burn down.
I understand too.
Yeah, I know.
But all they're doing is asking somebody else
To pay their bill.
pay their bill.
I get it.
Number one thing we need to do is figure out how
What?
to reassess commercial property.
So they're not even 28 parcels.
Well, but what about all the property that doesn't get assessed? The
What?
churches, like the NFAA place.
Well, yours is a terrible number. It's like 200 and some entities in the county
That don't pay any taxes, they should pay something,
But our
I'm not
commercial
even
properties
saying a
haven't moved
lot,
in like 5 years.
but just a little bit.
But our commercial properties haven't moved in 5 years and they're paying taxes.
Mine have,
Yours have?
my commercial property, my office building has gone up every year. I can name a property downtown that hasn't gone up in the last 10 years. No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't be a bank. But it's like, you know,
I mean, like, because like the property we just bought, it's commercial property, hasn't been moved in a while.
well,
Whereas that's Michelle, but that's like, well, it's a challenge.
and I bet their new building isn't gonna be reassessed anytime soon either.
That one will get assessed because it's a new building. So
Yeah,
they
but then it won't be assessed for another 10 years.
But yeah, but then like reassessing is difficult because they're asking.
Well, I know, but I understand, but what about like Kentucky Fried Chicken or Goodwill? I don't even know if Goodwill pays taxes.
I bet they don't. Yeah, they probably haven't figured out yet.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of ones that, and it's just ridiculous, and we're just this much of the state.
Well, the ugly thing is.
How would you like to be like that Lakota to whatever that they changed their name to? The county that changed their name to the Indian name? Because the casino keeps, every time a piece of property comes for sale, the Indians buy it, the Indians buy it, the Indians buy it. Pretty soon, there's gonna be 10 ranches that are paying all the taxes in the county. But the Indians still get to drive on the roads. Still want their snow plows.
That's why we're gonna see more and more and more and more rental units because people can't afford to live in the house, part of it being because of taxes.
Well, but that doesn't make any sense either, because
The owner
like,
passes it on.
you have to. I haven't raised my rent on any of my rentals in years, but I'm gonna have to, and, cause I like the people, I like the man, they take good care of it. But my rents are very reasonable. I know landlords in town, if your property is assessed at $150,000, you're paying $1,500 a month of rent.
So you notice Conrad at Arms, Johnny?
Oh, Blackbird? Yeah, but Blackbird, I swear to God, I'm gonna go upstairs and look when we're done. I bet he has a door for every day of the year. Cause he's got property in Parkston, he's got these little high apartment houses in all these little towns. But just here in town, when somebody would die, back in the day, when somebody would die, he would say, I'll buy it from the estate. So he's got a bunch of his rental and he's not put a dime in them. If you wanna paint it, go ahead and paint it, but I ain't paying for it. You want carpet? Put it in.
And you know, it's like funny, it's like when Michelle was looking for a place for stuff, and it's like, oh, we got a place you can rent, and you can, and I was like, we ain't gonna put all this money into your place.
Exactly.
Because that's all they wanted. It's insane.
Exactly. But like that place where you guys were, I don't know who owns it, but I don't think he puts 14 cents a year
Oh,
into
he
it.
doesn't do anything into it.
So it all rolls back to in the economic cycle. You can't have the federal government giving away all the money they give away.
Oh, because, and then you got people who don't wanna work.
And
Well, and what about those apartments out by Fox Run convenience store, those big apartments, HUD subsidized?
they're the Catholic Church from Sioux Falls, Diocese or something.
I don't know, but, you know, some of these subsidized rental properties, like Stone and Peterson, they're federal dollars, 2 and 3 bedroom apartments, $50,000 to $80 a month. That's what your rent is. Federal government picks up all the rest of it. And then you also get your Obama phone.
But that's only if you're unemployed and like barely making it. As soon as you make something, then you're being charged $1,500.
True, but see, they don't want anybody to work. But then you get your South Dakota takers to start. But you're supposed to work a little bit, but they don't really want to work. So they'll work here for 3 months, and then they'll quit, and then they'll come work for me for 3 months, and then they'll go work for them for 3 months, and then they get your SNAP benefits. Because when I used to be the transfer agent, I was at 28 years, and people, and I was hospitalized. It's all right if I tell you that. And then I'd say, are you employed? And they go, well, they make me work 20 hours a week, and I'm like, I got 20 hours in my Tuesday, so I'm not feeling bad for you. I'm thinking about it, I'm not saying it, but I'm like, and then they'll go, well, I get, food stamps, and I get my rental assistance, and I'm just like, and you don't think he's paying enough money?
Yeah, we've had our share of people who are fly by night. It's like, oh my god, like they come in and they're like, oh, you go work. Except now it's almost like we don't even want to hire people. They're like, are you in government subsidized housing? Because you're gonna be gone in 2 weeks.
Not very long. You can hardly train them fast.
Yeah.
And you can't find people that want to work.
Yeah.
And then what's sad is you find somebody that wants to work, and somebody will steal their way from you. Because like my assistant, somebody tried, another lawyer, I don't want to do it. You really want to work for that person? You know what that person is like. Your life's gonna suck, but then they'll come back. Because once you're gone, you're gone.
Yep.
You're gonna be dead to me.
Okay, we're,
That's okay.
Oh, man, you broke out the hammer.
He means business now.
Thanks for coming, folks.
Yep.
I make a motion to go back into session.
Second.
Turn your microphone on, Michelle.
I have a motion and a second to go back into regular session.
By whom?
Who was that?
Dan and Don.
Okay.
Me.
No, it wasn't Wanda. Her microphone is off.
I
made you look.
I made the motion, you Gomer.
All in favor? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Dan and Don?
Yeah, no, it was actually Wanda, but
It was
I'll take
actually
credit
me.
for it.
Dan
Okay,
and
change it.
Wanda.
It was
Okay,
Wanda
change
and
it
then
to-
Dan.
No, Wanda wasn't a part of that one.
Patty, did you get that down?
Wanda
Yes.
and Dan.
I'm not
Yes.
writing it down, so you got it.
That's correct.
Okay.
Oh, man. Funny.
Okay, agrees.
Agreements.
I
Applied
move-
engineering.
Yep, that's been updated.
Move approval.
Applied engineering and Hastings were moved to agrees.
Move approval to accept the applied engineer, or the assessor's recommendation for applied engineering.
Second.
I have a motion by Dan, second by Ryan. Discussion?
Just, what was I could talk to you offline about it, just, I guess never mind. Get this done with.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Hastings Filters,
Move to approve the agreement.
motion by Wanda,
Second.
second by Dan. Discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Dean Schaefer,
Motion to approve the agreement.
Second.
motion by Wanda, second by Ryan. Discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 Don?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Casey Cruz.
Move approval.
Motion by Dan,
Second.
second by Ryan. Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Jason Hanson.
This one, Ms.
Yeah.
Brown said, has that been taken care of, or was something with this one?
I mean, so this one is actually in my name. It's been in my name since January 22nd. But Jason didn't get paperwork on it because the county was in possession of it. Back in October, I think it switched back over to him. But he never got any paperwork on it, and I didn't either. So I couldn't even try to fight this. And there was a clerical error. Sorry. Do you want me to come up
Yeah,
here?
just so they can hear, I'm sorry.
There was a clerical error at first, and we got that taken care of. I do think the value is still high. It's a 1979 trailer. So my question and the reason I was saying is I don't even know how you assess trailers, but I mean, if somebody wants to buy it for that amount, I will sell it gladly today to anyone. So.
Is the plan to remove that? Or is it gonna be removed, or what?
When I bought it, I agreed to let the people stay there until they wanted to move out. But yes, the plan would be at some time to remove that. Gayville needs some.
So they
maybe
can
a
live there another 5 years?
They could.
Yeah.
They could. There is room on the land that I probably could put. I was thinking a duplex because to get teachers into our town, we need some decent housing that's affordable. So that's what I would like to eventually do there. But yeah, they could live there for 5 years if the trailer lasts that long.
Okay. I got a motion and a second.
So I have a question for
Okay.
the Director of Equalization in light of Ms. Brown's statements. So next year, since it's a trailer and personal property such as that depreciates, can she next year
And I was gonna talk to Ms. Brown about this.
appeal
I think
that valuation?
During building permit time, like when we're out in Gayville, I think we should probably view that property, is what I was thinking. So right now, we had a typo, huge. So the mobile home was valued at $23,800 when it should have been $11,000. And then it does have a detached garage. So that was at $10,100 and it should be at $7,000. So, did I do that right? Yes.
Move to approve the current erroneous assessed valuation.
Got a motion by Wanda,
Second.
second by Don. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Dakota Plains Ag Center.
Withdrawn.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I think you guys could sing in a band the way you could come up with that withdrawing.
Yeah. That's best news I've
That's
heard
about
all
the
day.
only note that I could carry.
Yeah.
That was a happy withdrawn. And if anybody
Michelle?
wants to discuss that, I'm available in my office, because that will need to be
No,
addressed here.
we want to move on to tax freezes.
Yep. Additional power, or PDFs in your packets, assessment 2024 tax freeze, so this, the elderly and disabled tax freeze. The treasurer got 184 applicants. Our office received 161, so some were denied for income, and we approved 161 applicants. There were 32 new applicants. That
there a list?
statistic is new as of from last year to this year. Now within the program, you go back to your base year, which is the year you turn 65, or the lesser value. So if you have, let's say, a mobile home that was valued more in the year that you turned 65 than is this year, you get the lower value. So the total reduction for this program is, gotta count my commas, $10,742,729.
Is there a income limit?
Yes. Yep, that changes every year.
Do you know what it is currently?
what did we say? 40?
I think 45 for single, or 40 for single, and 51 for,
45 and 51? 44. That's
Thought you said-
Patty's
I thought-
area.
I thought you said at the beginning 40 and 45.
I think I did, but
So
Charles
now
said.
she's changed it.
Yep, 45 and 51. It changes every single year.
Pretty quick, yeah, I get that.
Is that by the, for those listening, that's through the Department of Revenue and they go to the treasurer, or you guys for that?
So the application is due every April 1st at
Every
the
April.
treasurer's office. Our office only does the value of the home, which has to be less than 345,000.
So they need
which changes every
to apply at the treasurer's
At
office?
the treasurer's office.
Prior to November?
April 1st.
Prior to April 1st, and they have to do it every year?
Every year.
Got it.
Thank you. Yes.
No, that's good information.
So we need a motion to approve those exemptions.
I guess
Which
I'll move
ones?
to approve it since it's by statute.
I have a motion by Wanda,
Second.
Which
Second
ones
by-
are these?
Elderly.
second by Ryan to approve the assessor's
List,
list of elderly exceptions.
elderly and disabled.
And
Disabled,
Yep,
I'm sorry.
or disabled too.
Disabled is next, ain't it?
Disabled veteran is next.
Tax freeze, then those were on the tax freeze,
Yep, tax freeze.
and that was Wanda and Dan.
Ryan.
Wanda and
And
Ryan, I believe.
Wanda and Ryan. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Disabled veteran property tax exemptions.
Are those also applied for at the assessor's office?
The next programs are applied for at the assessor's office. The elderly tax freeze is at the treasurer, the rest are through us. Elderly tax freeze, and disabled is annually. These, disabled PT 46, disabled veteran is one time, unless you move or the property is deeded differently. We'll just stick with that. We'll just explain each one as we go. So the disabled veteran exemption, it's up to $150,000 exempt if you are a veteran that is 100% permanent and total disabled. We had 72 applications, 2 moved, 11 new, 1 removal because they sold the property. Total gotta read the right line. Total exemption is $9,750,803. Next year, that exemption will go to $200,000 exemption from $150,000 to $200,000 exemption per codified law.
Do you have an estimate of what that $9,750,000 will go to?
I did not
Okay.
pull that. We are getting this year we had 11 new applicants. There's been quite a few new applicants in the past 4 or 5 years, which is not, it is what it is. I can run those numbers for you, Dan, with the current applicants.
No,
Would that work?
That would be
Okay.
great. And I appreciate, I was at a veteran council meeting and you provided me that information and I was able to distribute it out to the state, so thank you very much for that. So, move approval.
Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Wanda. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Paraplegic veteran exemption, we are exempting $351,400.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Now, the colorful packet is the exemptions. Annually, we have to approve certain ones. Other ones, churches and cemeteries are every 5 years. They have to apply every 5 years and 1 year, excuse me. We still have to approve them annually.
So cemeteries, it's not like a cemetery is gonna go away. That'd be a good state law to change, to just have that as, because you're not gonna move a cemetery, right? I mean,
No,
it's
but you
gonna
could make it not a cemetery anymore.
be- How?
You dig them up.
Braver than I am, Wanda.
There are a portion that are partial exemption due to, they rent out things, rent out portions of them. All of them have been notified. We work with them on what portion they rent out and everything, so. Are there questions on any of those?
I've got a veterans cemetery on my farm, and I got all veterans, all family members.
That's pretty cool.
That is very cool. On your farm, really.
I guess there might be one or two that's not a veteran's kid.
Get a motion?
Which one is this for?
Exemptions.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Don, second by Dan. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Since Mr. I'm gonna pronounce Bradwich is here, we will do his abatement first. He built a new structure this past year, and once you complete a new structure, there's a discretionary formula. It was neglected to be added to his property prior to his assessment notice going out and his tax bill going out. So his abatement is asking for the 80% reduction as if discretionary formula was added. When a discretionary formula is on a property, on your assessment notice, it states it, how much of that value is on discretionary or exempt, excuse me, and if it's not, it's just blank.
We don't have it, I don't think we have that in our packet, do we?
I don't see
But
that.
we have
You
something
have a
that says
copy?
abatement.
Well, yeah,
Well,
but there's
That's what
nothing
it
in
is.
it. Are we able to, what kind of is it a commercial structure then? Okay.
Yep, it
And
has
it's-
to be commercial to get
okay.
discretionary.
So, I mean, then that's applied to everybody, so if it meets the criteria, which it does, correct? All right, I'd make a motion to approve the abatement.
Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Ryan. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Michelle, is the discretionary formula for ag and commercial structure still 5, or did that go to 7? Or is it just the affordable workforce housing at 7?
Good
remember?
question, Mr. Clemish. I do know the answer to that, but it
Okay,
is
great.
kind of loaded. So
Okay.
the state law says
Yeah.
that they did switch it from 5 to 7.
Okay.
But when that happened, you as a commission, not saying you all were here or not,
Well, that goes to
decided to stick with the 5-year discretionary
Okay.
of, commercial properties have to be valued at $30,000 or more, ag properties have to be valued, new structures have to be valued at $10,000 or more, and it's 20, 40, 60, 80, and the 5th year is 100%. So the first year, you only pay taxes on 20% of your value. It's to encourage new construction.
Good. Do we need to, is that something that?
You
should
as
we
a
keep
board
it
can
where-
decide.
Should we keep it, well, for your advice though, should we keep it where we're at, or should we do something different? I mean, do you have any?
I've
advice for
seen
us?
the other counties' discretionary formulas. I really like ours. It's very clear cut, simple to explain. Some have very different percentages, heavy on the back end, front end. Ours is very more equalized is what I would say.
Got it.
But if you choose as a board to redo that, we sure can look at that after. I have too many papers.
Is that the only abatement we have?
Yeah, we have 2 more
Oh, 2 more.
abatements. They are disabled veteran abatements. So with that in codified law, it says that if a veteran qualifies but does miss the deadline, we can go and abate those taxes. Well, both veterans, one was applied for the day of last year's appeals. We literally walked out of here and he was upstairs waiting for me. So I tell them all, even though November 1st is their assessment, you're a veteran, you are qualified for this. You can, if you apply and get it in front of you guys for that year, you definitely owed. I'd rather get it to you guys now instead of abate taxes. But it was behind after that, so that it happened. It's in codified law that we can. The other one, it was permanent and total was, is recently established but was backdated to January of 2021, so we have to abate all of 2022 taxes and all of 2023 taxes, meaning assessments. So what he paid in 2023 and what he will pay in 2024.
How do we backdate it?
The Veteran Services backdated his disability. I don't know if it was of influx of paperwork, this, that,
Yeah.
but their effective date of when they became 100% permanent
They
total.
almost closed down during COVID.
Or
Yeah,
it-
that
It's,
too.
it's that, and with all the PACT Act, these guys submit claims and it might take 2 years to go
Yep.
through, and not his fault or your guys' fault. I guess I'd approve, can I approve both of them at the same time, or do you want to?
Nope, we gotta do them separate.
What do we call them then? Abatement number, veteran
Yeah.
abatement number one?
Cause it's all confidential, so
Yeah.
yep, number one, number
I
two,
would
number
just,
two, number three.
State the parcel. Oh, you can't even do
How
that.
about number 1 and number 2?
Yeah, and then,
Second.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. Is that your motion?
Motion by Wanda, second by Dan,
Yeah, to do the first one.
to do.
To do the
abatement
first
number one.
abatement.
First abatement. First veteran abatement, yep.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Abatement number 1 has been approved.
And that was Rodney and Dan.
And
And
I
that
move
was
to approve
Wanda.
abatement number 2.
And
Second.
Ryan makes a motion, Wanda second, to approve abatement number 2. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Public comment?
This is the time for public comment.
Are you gonna read that again?
He's happy he got his discretionary formula.
He doesn't have, on the second. Oh, never mind. I was talking one.
I see no one arising for public comment. Public comment is closed.
I'd move to adjourn.
Second.
Too bad.
Hands down.
And then we voted.
Wanda, Dan.
I think you'll all agree with this. I think our assessor's office have done a great job in the last 2 years and all the work that they've done, and
I think we should give them a hand. Thanks for the lunch also today.
Well, thank yourself.
You paid for it.
Cookies were good.
A move adjournment.
second.
I thought we already did that.
We did that.
We never vote.
The only
Aye.
thing
We didn't vote, so I got a
Wanda and Dan.
motion by Wanda, second by Dan to adjourn. Discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
What did we do with those, local discretion?
Get a new tax bill,
Hey.
not, it's just gonna be there, or?
Yeah, of
No, I'll
course.
try to do
Local
it tomorrow.